gotta let me show ya. Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia, I wanna know ya. Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya. Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia, I wanna know ya. Let it all hang out. DNA brings the car people out. The artistic, so gifted. African ancestry gets it. Yes, they black owned for the people. In the roots, they will find your sequel. Genetic test in the process, peaceful. Reunite, multiply with your equals. Black scientists, research it. Invest in that time, you're worth it. Experience feels so perfect. Get on the right path to your purpose. No other in the industry like this. Find your link to a tribe, precise kit. Mende people, Mendenga, Volanta, the house. I wanna know ya. Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya. Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia, I wanna know ya. Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya. Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia, I wanna know ya. AfricanAncestry.com, the pioneers in genetic tracing for black people. Since 2003, doing what no other in the industry can do by tracing your DNA to the present day African country, ethnic group, or tribe. What better time than now to find out where you came from? Order your kit today.
Our surprise guest shouldn't be there. Nobody saw that. You all didn't see our surprise guest. Hey, everybody. I guess he's not surprised because you saw him on the intro, but I don't want him to come on yet. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome, welcome. Trevera Q was the first person to come on once we started. So you got a special gift, Trevera. Welcome, Monique, Mary, Daniel, P. Black. I'm so happy to see all of you here with us. A few folks were early. Robert Ashcraft and Volt is early. Glad to have you guys with us. I'm Gina Page. I'm the president and co-founder of AfricanAncestry.com. We are the pioneers of genetic ancestry tracing for Black people around the world, the whole world. We have people in 66 countries who have traced their ancestry with us. Can you guys believe that? 66 different countries. We are everywhere. Black people are all over the world. And so we use DNA to help people reconnect to their present day African country and ethnic group of origin, or that they shared ancestry with prior to the transatlantic slave trade. And it is an honor to be able to do this work. For us, by us. We are Black owned, Black funded, Black founded. Our team is all Black. Our vendors and suppliers are Black as much as possible. You all, our family, are Black. We love being Black over here. See my shirt, love. We love being Black. And it really is an honor, as I said, to do this work. Shout out to Yakoda and Darlena, who's joining us. Robert Lambert, good to see you. Norma's here. I don't know if we're going to see our usual NOLA people, Barry Payton and Plachette and Nakima. My heart goes out to them in New Orleans. They represent every week for New Orleans and Louisiana, and we want them to know that they are in our hearts and prayers as Louisiana and other parts of the South are experiencing the devastating and ravaging effects of Hurricane Ida. Also, our condolences go to you, Barry Payton, should you watch this later. At the transition, the ascension of your mother, we honor her now as an ancestor. Good evening, Alfreda and Prince, or Alfreda and Prince. Mahawa's here, Carol's here. It's good to see all. P. Black said blackity black. Black, blackity black. That's right. I love it. We are Black, blackity black. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here, Annette and Jane. So listen, Trevera won our prize. You know that we've been giving away a special gift to the first person to comment after the show starts. And so, Trevera, you have won a notebook trio, which I don't know if you guys are familiar, but we have a notebook trio that comes in handy right about now with school starting and our schedules picking back up. It's great to use. They're great to use as for your to-do list or to journal in, or however you want to use them. I don't know if we have a picture of those that we could show. We got Rolando holding it down for us today. Wendy's on vacay. Shout out to Rolando Brown, the head of marketing at African Ancestry, and his production assistant, Purple, in the building, the virtual building. So yes, this is yours, Trevera. It's a 3 notebook trio. And if you will email us at info@africanancestry.com and give us your mailing address, we will get these in the mail to you. Deshaun Gandy is in the house. I also wanted to remind you all about our Why You Matter campaign. You hear me talking about it every week. We are on a mission to trace the ancestries of 2022 Black men by Father's Day 2022. And so we encourage you to go over to africanancestry.com/why and share the page with people so that they can learn more about the importance of our brothers tracing their ancestry. Certainly we want everybody to trace their ancestry, but when one of our brothers does it, he's doing it for everybody, right? He's doing it, if we look at the paternal line, he's doing it for everybody we share ancestry with on our father's line. So if you get your brother, if you're a woman and you get your brother or your uncle or your father or your uncle's son to take the test, then you'll learn your paternal ancestry as well as everyone else in the family. And of course, men and women can take the maternal test. And so we encourage you to check out the Why You Matter campaign. We're adding stories all the time about different brothers who have taken the test and the impact that it has had. And so that brings me to our guest for this evening, who you got a sneak peek of, Darnell Clayton. When I tell you, if we had an ambassador program, he would be the #1 ambassador. This is how we know Darnell Clayton, because he holds it down, has been holding it down since, I don't even know, we'll find out when he joins us, since 2018, actually, I do know, 2018. He has been holding it down, educating people in the comments, everywhere, getting our backs if he needs to, spreading the word if that's what he feels like doing that day, and just educating people all around. So it's a pleasure to have him on tonight. We've titled this show Enlightening Minds for Africa Travel, but this brother, he can talk about anything and everything. So I'm very excited to have him. Darnell Clayton, he grew up in Connecticut, moved to Texas, and then moved to South Carolina, where he lives currently. He's traveled all over the world to countries like Sierra Leone, we'll hear about that, the UAE, Israel, Nigeria, and he enjoys, I don't know what he doesn't enjoy: philosophy, science, technology, space, Africa, of course, and politics. So I want you guys to throw up some Sierra Leonean or some Nigerian flags for your cousin, Darnell Clayton. Woo, 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 woo. Hey, Darnell.
Hey, Dr. Gina. It's great to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. I am just so happy that you're here, Darnell. I got to finally meet you in person in the airport.
Yes.
In Sierra Leone, but we'll talk about that later. But first, tell us some more about you. Why was tracing your ancestry an important thing for you to do?
Okay, so the whole thing started with Black Panther. Before, I didn't really have as much interest on the continent because, the colonial education, Africa wasn't important. They just told me I was a descendant of an enslaved person in Africa. They were insignificant. You're in America now. That's all that matters. And so I saw like a trailer for Black Panther, and I got kind of excited about the movie because I like Marvel movies anyways. And then after seeing Black Panther, I don't know, it just like altered my mind. And I had this like, I'm not sure if I had it before, but I had this like a thirst to find out where I was from. Like I was losing sleep over it. I was like, where am I from? And then I saw Chadwick Boseman on The Breakfast Club talking about DNA tests. He had to take one to kind of help him understand his role as T'Challa, because he said T'Challa knew where he's from, but he didn't as an African American. And everyone was talking about the DNA test they took, and they're like, "Oh, I got this region here and this region here," and he was like, "You guys took the wrong test." And they're like, look at them kind of like side-eyed, and he's like, "You got to take African Ancestry." And I was kind of blown away that like we could find out where we're like from, not just a country, but the tribe itself. And so I got super excited, and at the time, so I was like super excited. I was like, okay, I got to order this. And then when I saw the cost, I was kind of like, it's kind of expensive. But then I was like, well, I'm saving up for an iPad. So I was like, should I like, take my iPad money and pay for both kits, or just try to take a cheaper colonizer test instead? And so I was thinking about it. And then I was like, you know what? My great grandmother, my grandmother, like aunts and everything have for like years always wondered where they're from and never had the opportunity. And here am I whining about the cost. Like they went through way worse than I did growing up. And here I had the luxury to actually know where we're all from. And so I took the iPad money I had saved up and paid for both kits. And then when I got the results back, I was just so excited. I posted, I think it was Instagram. I got the Yoruba results back on my father's side. And so I posted it. And then people from the Yoruba tribe were like congratulating me and welcoming me. And I didn't know what Yoruba was. Like, this is the first time I had heard about it. And so thus began the conversations with friends, and now my fiance, she's from Nigeria. She's Yoruba. And they were trying to enlighten me what the Yoruba culture was and what Nigeria was. And they were basically decolonizing my mind. And so after about a year, they're like, you have to come over here to see it for yourself. And so that thus began my first trip toward the continent.
Okay, wait, let me ask you something. Look, you just opened up a whole can of questions, Darnell, that weren't even on my list of things to ask you. Let me find out that African ancestry, it leads to people getting married, first of all. But congratulations on your engagement to your Yoruba fiance. TT David Oni says, yes, I'm Yoruba from Nigeria. Is that her?
Oh, no, that's not her.
Just checking. But, you said something. You said, here I have the luxury of knowing. And I just wanted you to talk about that a little bit more, because people do sometimes people are like, why does it cost so much? And then sometimes people are like, that's all it costs. And you looked at it as a luxury, not as something that was a luxury item or expensive, but something that was well, I'm putting words in your mouth. What made you see it as a luxury?
Basically is the opportunity to know, like for instance, my great grandmother, I think she died when she was young. She was killed. So because back in the day, there's a lot of there's violence toward African Americans and other stuff that's happening. And many of them had a desire to go to Africa, but they had no clue where they were from. And some of them grew up in the best circumstances either. And I could, personally, I can only trace my ancestry towards when the enslaved Africans were freed. And that's as far as I can go. But the fact that I had the opportunity, and I call it a luxury because it's, how you put it? It's not something that is really available to a lot of people. And it's like for instance, it's like owning an iPad in a sense. Like, you don't need it, I guess to function in America, but it's a luxury to have. It helps enhance your life. It helps improve your life, and it opens up new opportunities. And same thing with this DNA test. It was like a luxury. It helped basically take me to the next level of, you might say, of consciousness. It wasn't like you're from West Africa, you're from Southern Africa, you're from a Bantu, which I found out later on when people say Bantu, DNA tests, they say Bantu. It's not a tribe. it's a language group. It's like saying you're related to the romantic languages in Europe. People think you're insane. And so this was like very specific what tribe you're from. And yeah, so
Okay, I love that. I love that. It's like you said, it's a language group. It's like being related to the romantic languages, the romance languages in Europe. So now you start getting all these congratulatory and welcoming and educational texts or messages from Nigerians, and they encourage you to come. What did you have any trepidation about traveling to the continent?
a little because I didn't know anything about Nigeria except what you heard about in the news. And fun fact, the news always emphasizes the negativity about what's happening in like outside in America. Like if I told you there's a country that where there's like kidnappings, wildfires, floodings, weather, and everything, and you'd be like, I don't want to visit there. But like that's the United States. Like something that happens here, and so like every country has issues like that. But when I was looking into it and I talked to them, they're like, no, that's like, and they're like as far away in a region. Like it was just like they helped basically open my mind to the possibility of visiting the country. I did have friends and I had some family members who were concerned, but I also had friends and coworkers who were trying to dissuade me from going, including also the U.S. government for some strange reason was saying I would pretty much, if I went to Africa, I'd get kidnapped and raped and burned alive and like, like all this horrible stuff. And none of that happened. They even told me I couldn't drink the water.
Why didn't you believe them? Because you said you didn't know anything except the negativity. What was it that said, I don't care what you say, people at work, I don't care what you say, family members, I don't care what you say, U.S. travel sites, I'm going. What was the thing that made you say, I'm going?
It was the people I connected to on the continent. And they were the ones who are like, they're like, we're living here. Like if it was that bad, we'd be all leaving. Like. And so they're explaining like, and they had like technology. Like for instance, one of my coworkers thought like Africa was full of jungle and people rode elephants and like zebras and like stuff. But when I try to explain to them, like, no, they have cars, they have movie theaters, they have iPhones, they have like the same stuff we have over here. Yeah. And they were like, what? They're civilized, like, and so I guess it's reality versus a fiction in a sense. And so that's when I was like, I have to visit for myself because like I'm just hearing all the stuff and it's not turning out to be it's turning out to be false in a sense.
Yeah. So after having traveled there, and how many times have you been to Nigeria now?
Twice.
What kind of tips do you have for someone who's perhaps traveling for the first time? And you've already convinced us that don't listen to the propaganda. It's a great place to be and you enjoyed, obviously you've gone back. But what are some of the things that you would encourage us to think about when we're traveling?
Okay, so when you're traveling, whether it's a tour company or by yourself, I went by myself because I just went. When you get a visa, get a visitor visa and not a tourist visa. And this might surprise a lot of people, but like, okay, when you get a tourist visa, you go through all that, like the visa application, the fees and everything. You go to the country, and if you want to visit again, you do the same thing again. A visitor visa basically allows you pay once. It costs about the same in many countries, and you can just simply hop on a plane again and visit without going through the whole visa application. But to do that, you need to know people in the country, and they have to basically write a letter to their government saying, hey, this person is visiting my country. I'm going to take responsibility over them. And they vouch for you being awesome, I guess. And so then you get the visitor visa. And in Nigeria, it's good for 2 years. So I didn't have to worry about the whole visa process. Basically, they scan your fingerprints and your face and everything like that and go to DC. I can just hop on a plane and just go. And so unless you're getting citizenship, that's the only time I recommend people do a tourist visa. But if you're not doing that, get a visitor visa. Because then once you go back, you want to go back, but you don't want to go through the bureaucracy again of getting another visa. So, okay. But yeah.
Oh, any other tips besides getting a visitor visa?
Also, get an international debit card.
Mm.
Like, okay, when I went to Nigeria, I talked to my bank. I had a PayPal business card. And I was like, listen, I'm going to Nigeria. I need my card to work. Otherwise, I can't eat. And so I went there and they blocked all my cards. Like, all my cards did not work in the country. And so I had to use an app called World Remit. And basically, you can basically send money to yourself. And it basically, the transactions are very fast, like within minutes. And you can pick up your cash or do whatever. Or at the time, Nigeria, I could actually pay people through it. And so I'd be going on taxi rides. Also use local taxis. Don't use Uber. Uber will like overcharge you like out the wazoo. But I would use that, and I would be able to pay for rides. I can go to restaurants and pay people for food and stuff like that. And so that was something I had to learn while I was there on the fly. And so, but yeah. And as far as the international debit card, Wise.com works just about in every country but Nigeria. It doesn't work anymore. I'll explain later. But yes, that is a card you can basically put money into the card through the app and then spend it. And so if anything happens to your card, you're good. You know, but yeah, that's another great tip I recommend for people.
Okay. So which companies, Ruby's Africa, shout out to Ruby's Africa. Did you guys, if you missed our conversation with Ruby's Africa, go into the archives on Facebook or YouTube and check it out. She's got these African stories that different African artists have illustrated, written the stories, and narrated them. So shout out to them. Exactly. Install the Ruby's Africa app. But she wants to know which Nigerian cities did you visit?
Oh, I visited Lagos, Ota, and I went to, I can't pronounce it. It's like, they call it like 7 levels. It's like you hike 7 levels up. And it was further inland. Ibadan I went to. I loved Ibadan. I just liked Ibadan.
Now, why do you love Ibadan?
It was a mixture of different cultures. Like, you have people from different faiths there, and philosophies. Like, Yoruba are very welcoming. Like, a funny story. When I was getting my original Nigeria visa, and they were asking like, why are you doing it? And they found out I was Yoruba, and there's people who were Yoruba there, and so they were all excited. And then a white guy came, and he was trying to get a visa too, but he was trying to tell the Nigerians that there's difference between different people of different faiths in Nigeria. Like, he's like, no, like the Muslims are different from Christians, and Yoruba are like, no, we're Yoruba. We are Yoruba. Yoruba comes first. Doesn't matter if you could be practicing the ancestral religion, you could be Christian, Muslim, atheist. They're like, we are Yoruba first. It's the tribe, and that's how they welcome. That's how they see you. And so, but yeah, and so Ibadan was like a mixture of like kind of like all that in general. And so, I also wore my toe shoes there, so that people were kind of like looking at that, and so, but it was really fun.
You had a post of your shoes. One of your shoes has busted, and now you're on the hunt for a new pair of shoes that the company doesn't make anymore. Did I see that correctly?
Yeah, they don't make it. I love it. It's like a boot. I use it for like weddings and ceremonies and stuff. But I guess they didn't sell as well, and so the company doesn't make them. They're kind of pricey too. And
oh man! So when you went to Yoruba land, or when you went to Nigeria and met many Yoruba people, somebody wants to know, did you get a Yoruba name? What were some of the cultural practices that you engaged in?
My fiance is the one who first gave me a name as soon as she found out I was Yoruba on Instagram, and so she called me Omobawale. It means the child who has come home. Mm-hmm. And so that's when we were just friends, but she's the one who gave me my first, I guess, official name. And as far as some of the culture practices, Yoruba, they have it's kind of like, okay, in Japan they bow, like they do that in Yoruba land as well. It's like a sign of respect. And so when you see the elder, you kind of like, you bow. They make funny memes about it, like where people don't bow and they get like beat up by their elders and grandparents. but yeah, it's like greetings are very important in Yoruba. Mm. And the weirdest thing, at least to me, was, okay, like in Africa, they can kind of tell kind of what tribe you're related to by your face. And the same thing happens in, people in Asia can tell different people from Asia and Europe and everything else. Same thing in Africa. And so when I was in Nigeria, they were greeting me in Yoruba, the language, because they assumed I was, well, they said, like, I'm Yoruba. They could tell by my face I was Yoruba. And then because I didn't understand Yoruba, they were kind of getting some angry a little bit because greetings are very important. And then my friends had explained I didn't know the language yet. And then they'd talk to me in English. And in fact, when I left, last time I was in Nigeria at the airport, the immigration, often you had to go through immigration. I presented my Sierra Leone passport and my American one. And he looked at me. He's like, "Where's your Nigerian passport?" And he didn't believe that I was not born in Nigeria. Like, yeah, I had to convince him that I was from the United States and I had 2 passports, but he wanted my Nigerian passport because you have to, by law, use a Nigerian passport to leave and enter the country. So he's calling his manager over, and I was like, "Oh, but then it's my flight." And so, but he was so convinced he thought I was lying about being not from Nigeria, and so.
Wow.
But yeah,
that's incredible. So you went to Nigeria, you found your future bride, you had, the experiences that you've had, but you also have traced your ancestry to Sierra Leone. And so I'm curious, how did the experience of visiting Sierra Leone differ from the experience of visiting Nigeria?
I guess Nigerian food I think is spicier, and Nigerians are also kind of louder in a sense. But but Sierra Leone is they're proud of their country and everything too. It's not as developed as Nigeria in a sense, and there's more, I think, slightly more Western influence in Sierra Leone, but one thing I did like about Sierra Leone is, like, despite, even though like Europe are kind of very proud, the language and everything, Sierra Leone, they had their cultures and their tribes and everything as well, and they're as welcoming, I guess, but they also had a different view of Nigeria, which I was kind of like, I thought was kind of interesting. Like, it was, I had to correct some views because it's just like it's kind of like a friendly rivalry, like especially around jollof rice. Like when I talk about jollof rice. I don't know what it is about jollof rice in West Africa, but everyone assumes they have the good one. Like their jollof rice is the best, and everyone else's is the worst. Like, and so.
Well, what are your thoughts? Which one out of Nigerian jollof rice and Sierra Leonean jollof rice, which one wins for you?
Well, I have to say Nigeria because otherwise, but yeah, but Sierra Leone had a pretty good jollof rice too. So
I don't want to get you in trouble, Darnell. I definitely don't want to get you in trouble. That's hilarious. So what was it like to get citizenship? Because that's not an everyday thing.
That was like it's something I desired, and believe it or not, when I was in Nigeria, I was looking at trying to get Nigerian citizenship, and it's a lot more complicated to get it legally there, and you basically have to wait so many years. So I was like, I'm never gonna get Nigerian citizenship. But Sierra Leone, just getting that, like, it's kind of completing the circle. And it also opened up when I came back to United States. Like a lot of my friends were like, "What? You can get citizenship?" Like that's kind of like many of them they dream of getting citizenship on the continent. And so dual citizenship is great. Like I can buy property. I don't need visas to like I think 20 countries in the continent, and I can apply for an African Union.
Nigeria, right? You don't need a visa for Nigeria now if you fly
Nope.
on your Sierra Leonean passport.
Yes, I can just use my Sierra Leone passport and just fly over, and I think in Tanzania too. Before, if you're an American citizen, you need a visa, but because I'm a Sierra Leone citizen, I don't need a visa. I can just fly to there directly and everything. And so, and it also kind of makes some people kind of jealous because it's like they've dreamed of becoming citizens on a continent. It's like a home, and they're like, and if people have questions about taking DNA tests now they want to take it because they see now there's like a benefit to it. And so, but yes, and it did kind of create a a random problem for me when I was in Chicago when I flew back because yes, okay, so I was getting my stuff and I didn't use one of those carriages to load my stuff. I was carrying my big old bags, and then security flagged me because they said I looked militant. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? And so they were like, "Where'd you come from?" I was like, "Nigeria." They're like, "Okay, where's your Nigerian visa?" I was like, "I don't have one. I had citizenship with Sierra Leone." They're like, "How'd you get dual citizenship?" So I'll explain the whole process. They're Caucasians, and they're kind of like confused. I think they verified out whether I was a citizen or not, and then they let me go on my merry way. But they were like, kind of like surprised. Like one, they were surprised anyone would visit Africa. So I had to dispel like some myth about it. And I was like, no, Sierra Leone, they have great beaches and everything, and Nigeria has this and that, and because all they hear is the negative and stuff like that. So
Darnell, how does it feel to be? Shout out to Sequoia Allen. He wants to know if your fiance has a sister.
Yes.
Sequoia, you guys need to talk about that offline. But I love this African ancestry inspired matchmaking. This is awesome. A whole nother benefit that I never thought about. But how does it feel to now, having gone from not knowing really anything about African countries to have traveled multiple times to various countries to becoming sort of a walking educator to people about Africa, about your experiences, about the importance of knowing where you're from? How has that, have you consciously seen yourself go through that transition, or did it just happen and it just is who you are? How does that feel?
I think it's kind of like both. Like when I got my results, it kind of like opened up my mind, and then as I was going through the process and traveling back and forth, I got more enlightenment about what the continent really has to offer, the opportunities there, and then when I became a citizen, it's like you go from it's like instead of just being like say maybe a long lost honored guest, you're now a member of this country, and that entails certain responsibilities with citizenship, but it gives you more opportunities as well. And so it made me more passionate about the continent in general. And so when people talked about Africa in general or certain countries with ignorance, I kind of have to like bring the facts to them. And basically black, white, doesn't matter what. And so, but yeah, I just like, I guess I think about Africa a lot, like maybe sometimes too much, but it's just like on my mind. And, some of my other friends and coworkers are actually excited. Like, and here's the crazy thing: like, a few of the people who are white, right? They understand the importance of knowing your ancestry, and when they saw this heirloom, they're like, "Oh, that's really cool!" And they want to know about it, and they ask questions. And then same thing with black people. And then I tell them like, I'm able to trace my ancestors, and I was able to get citizenship. And I even talked to some people who had they took the wrong test, and so their stuff came from Sierra Leone. So I was talking about African ancestry, and now they're scrambling to get whatever money they can get together to take the test, and so they can get citizenship. Like, because that's one thing that they dreamed of getting. And so, but yeah, so.
I love this, everybody. We're talking to Darnell Clayton, the very first unofficial African Ancestry ambassador since 2018, who has become a world traveler and a what's the word I want to use? The word is on the tip of my tongue. But what I'm trying to say is a champion of Africa and African ancestry, and the importance of knowing where you're from, and the importance of going back and making some tangible connections with the people, whether you find your spouse or whether you get citizenship. There's a whole continuum of experiences that one can have. Now, I know that you currently live in in South Carolina, and you work in a relatively small city, right? I'm sorry, in South Carolina. I didn't mean to say North Carolina. I meant to say South Carolina. What city do you work in?
It's Well, I work in like Spartanburg, but I'm in Greenville though. And
Okay.
so
So what has it been like? You talked about some of your friends and your coworkers. What about your family? How did they react to the results? And have any of them decided that they're going to travel with you on the next trip? Or are you kind of the lone champion in the Clayton family pushing Africa?
it's gotten mixed results. Some just don't care. They don't see the value of the continent. Others are the opposite end. They want to get citizenship now too, and so they want to travel. One wants to go there, but she wants a shorter flight because I told her how long it was, and she's like, I can't be there that long in a plane. I'm like, well, it's technically like 7 hours, but you have to fly to Europe for some strange reason, and there's no direct flights there, and so but yeah, some of them are. I guess there's like a mixture. It's like there's more two extremes. You either have some people who are not excited, and some people who are within the family. And so I've had several siblings who expressed interest in going, and now I'm trying to convince them to get a passport and this whole craziness with the passport situation. So, but yeah, it's been interesting, and I guess not only that, but just like friends outside, like I was trying to explain why they need to get an African ancestry DNA test because they're like, well, they're all the same. I've had people say every DNA test is the same. I was like, that's like saying every sunblock and sunscreen is the same. Like depending on what like your pigment is depends on what you need. You're not going to take one that is for someone who's Caucasian. That doesn't work for me at all. And they're not going to take one for African Americans because they're getting burned. You got to take one that is specific for you. And I think hair products are the same thing. And that's why I'm like, you got to take the DNA test that's more centered towards your ethnicity. Like African ancestry is African centric. Other ones, rivals, they're more European centric. And so they will just do general regions about Africa and Asia. And there's even ones from Asia who are Asia centric. And
I know
so,
you were mentioning that. That's exciting to see for that group of people.
yeah. And ironically, I met a woman in China. Well, she's from China originally, but I met her in Sierra Leone. And when I was explaining what happened, how I got citizenship and African ancestry, and she was excited, and she's like, "Oh, I wish there's something for me, to know about tribes." So I told her about the one an Asian company, but they see the value of knowing like a specific DNA test for your ethnicity, and so same thing with I said African Americans should do the same thing. And there's not many companies that can do what you do. There's a few trying to copy. I've seen some of them. What do you call it? Like it's like subtweeting. They mention you guys without mentioning you guys. They keep talking about the leading African ancestry DNA test, and they just and they claim they have a bigger database and everything. And then I was like, okay, maybe you do, but when you go to their site, they can only identify dozens of tribes, and it's really only the big tribes, and then ones made famous by movies, like the Mende from the Amistad, and then might do Yoruba. Like if Chadwick Boseman had taken their test, they would have detected he was Yoruba, but they wouldn't have known he was Limba from Sierra Leone, and he would have missed out on citizenship. And the fact that African ancestry cares about even the little tribes is very important. And so, but yeah, I think it shows. I guess it shows the fact that you guys more like care about it's beyond the DNA test, but you care about Africans reconnecting to the continent in general, and not just trying to make a quick sale and then sell your DNA to like a pharmaceutical company or the FBI, which a lot of them are doing, which is kind of scary nowadays. But yeah, so
Yeah. Man, you with these analogies, Darnell, I could just sit here and listen to you all night long. You really break it down in the most simplest terms, like sunscreen. I'm gonna start using that. Sunscreen and hair care products. Everybody can relate to the differences and why those things do or do not work for us, and how we need ones that are specific to us. And thank you for recognizing that, in fact, African ancestry does genuinely care about reconnecting people to Africa. That's in our mission. That is why we exist. Long before there were these ideas that other companies have put out there, that's what we came into the game to do. And that's our commitment to you and to everybody who is watching. So, Darnell, we have a new segment of our African Ancestry Live that I want you to play with us. Are you
Oh,
game?
sure, I guess.
Wait, there was something that you wasn't there something you wanted to share?
Oh, yes. Okay,
You having a
so
good time?
this is the I'm not sure if it's frontwards or backwards from the camera, but the Pan African flag.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so basically, I was trying to see if we could get an emoji on our phones and stuff like that. And so the process takes like a year, and it's like annoying and bureaucratic. And I was like, ah. But another brother, Casey, I'm trying to get his last name. Let's see, yeah. Well, his name's Casey, but apparently someone had submitted an application for the Pan African flag last year, and so it's under review right now by the Unicode. I guess the guys who control that, and they're going to consider having a Pan African flag emoji, which will be available on everyone's phone around the world. And they're also looking at a Jollof rice emoji as well. And so, yeah, and it's just like they rejected the Afro emoji. I guess someone wanted a big old Afro one. They said no to that, but they said they're looking at the Jollof rice and the Pan African flag, and so.
Nice. You heard it here first, everybody, from Darnell Clayton. We soon will have a Pan-African flag emoji and a Jollof rice emoji. So, Darnell, we have a new segment called Fact or Whack. And so, I don't know if you've seen this segment yet. However,
Yes.
Okay. So then you know how it goes. So everybody, when Darnell's going to read the statement, and then you have to drop in the comments whether the statement is a fact or whether it's a whack ass statement. No, whether. All right, so we're going to go with the first statement, Darnell.
Okay. Nigeria, not China, is home to the longest wall ever built by humans.
Fact or whack? Nigeria, not China, is home to the longest wall ever built by humans. We got some whacks. We got a fact. Avanti says it's a fact. What do you think, Darnell? Do you think it's fact or whack?
It's actually a fact.
It is a fact?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. We got it's pretty even, fact or whack. So let's see the answer. Let's see if Darnell is correct. I believe you though, Darnell, because you know all these things. We need our waiting music.
Or get some djembe drums.
I know, right? That's so thank you. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can make that happen. Well, we do know that it is a fact. Do you know the name of the wall?
It's the Great Wall of Benin.
Yeah.
And it shocked Europeans how it's 4 times longer than the Great Wall of China. Yeah, and when they saw it, they were just shocked how symmetrical it was. And so it's but the wall, of course, part of it was destroyed when colonization happened. But that's something I learned when in Nigeria. I was like, what the heck is the Great Wall of Benin? But yeah, it's a massive wall. And so
nice. Okay, cool. So that's a fact. So now we can go to the next question while we're waiting for the next question. Oh, okay. So this is the explanation. The Guinness Book of Records 1974 edition described the walls of Benin City and its surrounding kingdom as the world's largest earthworks carried out prior to the mechanical era. According to estimates by the new scientist Fred Pierce, Benin City's walls were at one point, just like Darnell said. So according to Darnell Clayton, Benin City's walls were at one point 4 times longer than the Great Wall of China and consumed 100 times more material than the Great Pyramid of Cheops. And you can see our source there. All right, so let's go to the next one. Here we go, Darnell.
Europeans were shocked by how savage and primitive Africans were in Africa.
Is that a fact or is that a whack statement? What do you think? What do y'all think? I see some facts. I see some whacks. I don't see any facts yet. Whack. You all think that's a whack statement. This one's a little confusing, actually, the way we worded it. But okay, is it fact or whack, Rolando? It's whack. So they were not shocked by us? When the Portuguese first, I would have gotten that wrong. When the Portuguese first discovered the city, which city? Oh, Benin.
It's a Benin city.
In 1485, they were stunned to find this vast kingdom made of hundreds of interlocked cities and villages in the middle of the African jungle. They called it the Great City of Benin at a time when there were hardly any other places in Africa the Europeans acknowledged as a city. Wow. Nice.
And when I was learning about this city of Benin, apparently this was so symmetrical, like it put Europe to shame. Like it's like, and it was also very crime free. Like people left the doors open. Like, and he talked about how I think one of them talked about how they go to London and you have to worry about getting knifed in the back and gotta lock your doors. And here there's a city full of peaceful people. There were street lights, like there's commerce. Like it was just like, it boggled their minds. And so, but yeah.
I keep telling people that we invented all that stuff. People want to think that the Greeks and the Romans invented all the things that we use, and they got that directly from us. Okay, we think we have one more. It's on you, Darnell.
Due to colonization and neo-colonization, African nations never expressed interest in building colonies on the moon and Mars.
Is that fact or is that whack? What do you guys think? Do you think that African nations never expressed interest in building colonies on the moon and Mars? Whack. Mahawa says whack. See what else you guys say. Whack. We got another. Paula says fact. The whacks are out. The facts and the whacks are out evenly distributed here. All right. Shout out to Tanae, who's here. Omi Loyan is here. Abdul is here. Okay. What's the answer? What do you think, Darnell? Oh, the answer is whack. So
whack.
Do you know about Africans who were pursuing or interested in creating colonies on the moon or Mars?
Yes. This is Zambia was one when the U.S. and USSR were competing. Zambia wanted to beat both of them to the moon, and they coined the term Afronauts. And so, yeah, and they had were trying to. They didn't have enough resources to pull it off, but they were trying to train astronauts, and this was a week after they officially became a country. Think about that.
Wow.
Wasn't even a full month. Like they had just become a country, and they had ambitions to compete with the Europe and Asia with building cities on other worlds. And so,
Gina Jones said 3 for 3, baby. I love it. I love it. Darnell, thank you so much for contributing your expertise to this week's version of Fact or Whack. It has been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure to talk with you. Everybody, I suggest that you go follow Darnell Clayton on IG. You're at Darnell Clayton, right?
Yeah, on Instagram and Twitter. Yeah.
On Instagram and Twitter, he's at Darnell Clayton. And check out what he's doing. And you can see, who was it? A.E. Barlow. You can see his toe shoes that he was talking about. What he really means, A.E. Barlow was like, are you talking about ballet slippers, but they're actual shoes, and there's a it's like a glove for your foot. So you put your toes into each. There's a section for each toe.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
You want me to bring a picture or show them?
Do you have them right there for
I have them nearby. Yeah. Let me see if I grab them.
I saw Barry Payton. There you are, Barry Payton. I don't know if you were on, but we extended our appreciation for your mother, Barry, who is now an ancestor, and hope that you and Plachette and Nakima and all of your neighbors in Louisiana are faring well during this very difficult time down in Louisiana and other parts of the South. So I'm glad to see you here. I wasn't quite sure if you'd be able to join us. That means that you're safe and that you're connected, and that's good to know. Okay, Darnell, you got the shoes?
Yep. and the funny, when I was in Sierra Leone, Nigeria, like kids would like notice and they look at it, and sometimes they try to step on my feet. And so, but
well, of course,
yeah.
I'm sure people look at them and notice here too. They're not a commonly worn shoe in most areas.
Yeah, even coming to the United States, if people look at it, they're like, "What the heck?" So, but yeah, it's fun though. So, but yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I agree. Robert Ashcraft said, "Good job, brother. You do a phenomenal job at representing us as the children of Africa. And I appreciate your passion and your enthusiasm and your courage and your willingness to stand up and get people straight when they need to be gotten straight." If that's
I think there's a lot of rumors. I talk to people probably more offline than online, but like they're like, "We're not Africans, Darnell. We're Native Americans." And I'm like, "What? Our language don't even sound like theirs." And like we got different nose and our faces. Like we are not Native Americans. And so I've heard other people claim other ethnicities, and then some people I think I've heard some crazy theories about Africans, and it's like, so I always tell them like, listen. You claim you're this race, like Native American, or some claim they're Israelite. I'm like, take a DNA test. That's all you need to do. Those other places, they may require one for you to be welcome in their group, but take one for you to see. And I've heard that even in my own family, like like you hear the thing like you might be Native American, but once you take a DNA test and it confirms that you actually are African. And not only that, but there's tribes and they have histories and cultures. You don't need to borrow someone else's culture to make yourself feel significant and important and everything else. It's just like people are like, oh, I have to be this culture to be chosen or special. Like, no, we're like descendant of the original people. Like we're the children of the sun. We are Africans. Like we had languages and cultures and technology and all this stuff before being invaded. And so we don't need to borrow someone else's culture and history to make ourselves feel special or just like vindicated and everything else. We have our own. We have our own magic, you might say. We have our own traditions and cultures and customs that go on, and languages too. And so yeah. And then I'm just like, and there's apps out there for you. Like if you want to learn the language. There are apps and schools and by Africans that will teach you your language. So I encourage you going on the App Store to search for your tribe and see if they have a language there. If you want to know information about your tribe, go to Google Books. And this is really cool. Google Books has a lot of books out of print. And so if you want to find information about your tribe, you can find stuff there and then go to Mahogany Books and they can probably get it for you. Because like I was trying to find some books and they were just, I couldn't find them anywhere. Like they're not on Amazon. They're not like any place, but Mahogany Books probably has resources that can get it for you if you need some of those books about certain tribes. And so, and also just connect with people there. Like they're actually wanting to connect with us diaspora in America. Like we're like lost siblings, lost brethren to them. And they want to know like how we're doing and like if we're okay and everything like that. And and also just collaborate to help build up the continent as well. And so many of them said they felt like when foreigners come, they come to exploit, but they feel like we would come to actually help build. And so they really want people in the diaspora to come and help build up the continent. And so, and there's a lot of resources on the continent. Like I was surprised. This is a random fact. In the Congo, big Congo, they said they have 27 trillion with a T, $1 trillion of hard resources that they know of in that one country.
Yeah.
And many other countries have trillions of dollars of resources. It's like Wakanda with vibranium, pretty much. And so that's why a lot of people are going to the continent of Africa for business and stuff like that, is because there's a lot of potential and wealth there.
Yeah.
Like basically the continent has all the resources they need to develop themselves. They have enough sun. Like there's enough sunlight in Africa to power the entire planet. And that's something that like someone was explaining, like they can just go to the Sahara Desert, just have this like tiny square. They said it would generate enough energy from solar panels to power everything on Earth. Like, so yeah. Like,
that's where we come from. Those are our,
yeah.
That's our homeland.
Yeah.
That was a mic drop. That was several mic drops. You dropped the mic and then you kept going and you dropped it again and then you kept going. You are welcome back on the African Ancestry Live. Absolutely anytime you are willing and available, Darnell. Thank you so very much for joining us. And thank all of you for joining us and for playing Factor Whack and for the support. We're dropping support in the chat for our family down in the southern part of the United States. Dropping support for Darnell. Darnell, you got at least one follower. Gina says she's following you now on IG. So don't forget to check out Darnell over on Instagram. And listen, we're still not through this thing. So like I tell you every week, I'm still wearing my mask and I'm still social distancing, and I'm very careful about where I go and how I move. I'm still continuing to eat healthily and support my immune system. And I still continue to support my mental health and the mental health of those that I love. And I encourage all of you to do the same thing. Yes, Darnell.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned it. You know how when they had a pandemic and everything shut down, like airports and everything? Okay, this is a company that they use. I call it the International 911. If, say, you're in a country and they shut down the borders and everything, it's called globalrescue.com. It's a service that you can pay. They will actually get you out of the country if you need to.
So that's tip number 4. I'm going to put that as tip number 4.
And
globalrescue.com.
Yes, and it doesn't matter if there's a zombie apocalypse or a health crisis. They actually will enter the country and help get you out. And there's some people, when the pandemic happened, the U.S. government apparently evacuated some citizens. There's some African Americans who said the U.S. government left them there, and there's a dispute between the U.S. government and them. But I think what shocked a lot of people is the U.S. government isn't exactly obligated to rescue their own citizens. They kind of do it as a courtesy. And so this company will actually get you out of the country. They'll send a private plane if they have to. And if you're in a hostile area, which Africa is very safe. And so unless you're trying to find people to fight, I don't recommend it. Like, it's a very safe area. But even if it's in a hostile area, they'll come and get you out of there. And so but just don't call that number by accident. No butt dials, because they will show up with some dangerous people to get you out of the country. So, but yeah, that's another great company that I used that to alleviate fears from many of my family members, because the U.S. government was saying I'd be kidnapped, raped, and burned alive, and all this other crazy stuff, and so that was to alleviate their fears. But they actually do a lot of rescue operations. I think a lot of it was in Asia when all this started happening, and so.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you for that tip. So he gave us four great travel tips. You can see the list of the trips in the replay. Until we meet again, everybody, we'll be back here next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and on YouTube. I hope to see you then. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be whole. Have a very good night. Darnell, so good to see you. Thanks again.
Thanks. And Odabo and Yoruba, goodbye. But yes.
Odabo.